What's up, everyone? You are listening to the Rival and Queen podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sarah.
And
we're back.
We're back. And I'm so excited. I don't know why. I just feel excited today.
We love a good Thursday. There's a lot happening. We're back in the virtual studio, but we just keep rolling, rocking and rolling.
Nothing will stop us or hold us down, Sarah.
Nothing. Knock on wood.
Nothing.
We gotta knock on wood when we say things like that, because watching out a tsunami hits Halifax.
Oh my God. Okay. Nothing in our power will stop us from putting our podcast out there for everyone.
Every week.
We're coming. Here
hot.
or there, wherever we're coming. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Well, it's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you as well. And hopefully I'll be able to see you this week, which is lovely. Ooh, what you drinking over there, Ash?
I've got a Ace Hill raspberry vodka soda that before we went to the Black Shack a month ago, probably now, I had just grabbed these at the store. They're made in Toronto and they're very, very raspberry flavored. Like it's strong. It's very fresh. This is not sponsored. This is just random, but it tastes like very fresh raspberries. Like if they were in the blender, you know?
Oh, I really like that.
I just needed, we're in the virtual studio. We're back on lockdown in Nova Scotia just for 2 weeks. So I just needed a little something tonight.
Pick me up. I know I'm having the opposite night. I'm having like a meditation night. So I'm not going to drink till later, but that's all good. You know, sometimes you got to be in these soulful moments, which I love, but also interrupt my casual enjoyment of alcohol from time to time. However, I'm drinking a Bailey from Sprout Therapy. It's like chocolate milk, but I have to tell you, and I'm really excited. Okay, Katie Barnstead, if you're listening to this episode, it's coming out the day before your birthday. Happy early birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, Katie.
Skip forward 1 minute. So at the liquor store, I saw they have these martini pouches. I think Erica, one of our friends, told us about them, and they're like slush rosé. So I bought a bunch of those and popped them in the freezer because I thought that'd be like a fun little thing for Katie's birthday on Friday.
I think that
you guys know about it.
Can have those in the morning. Like, I feel like you should just,
oh my God, like
celebrating.
A breakfast?
Yeah.
I know. Listen, I've got the whole thing planned. I just have to.
Just don't tell everyone because she might be listening.
I know. We'll stop it there, but pay attention to my stories, my Instagram stories on Friday. And you'll see the full birthday in action. For everyone who's concerned, Katie and I live together. It's all good.
You're allowed.
We're allowed to celebrate and create joy in our home.
Absolutely. And I'm happy. And I feel like Katie is such like a go with the flow type of gal that she's probably like, this is fine. We'll make do and have fun. She'll have Rory, her puppy, and just love from Sarah.
Asked me for a specific meal. It's all in the works.
Is it pasta?
Yes, of course. We're doing homemade pasta. She knows. She asked me. And we used to do these Italian lessons at the Italian Cultural Center in Halifax, which I love. And they were like the best, but they make this like super cheesy pasta. It's like mascarpone and leeks. So that's what we're doing. Homemade pasta. Oh yeah. You love this one. Listen, I'll make some extra for you.
Oh God, love you. Have some wine. Just enjoy.
Actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do is the same thing we did last year. Is I've placed the order. So I'm not big into weed at all. It's like just not my thing. But on occasion, every now and again, we do enjoy this like one weed gummy that we get and we split. And she's requested that. So we're going to do that for her birthday as well, which will be hilarious.
You guys are going to be at home, safe, eating delicious food, having a laugh.
On another planet.
It's great. Yeah, on another planet. Please call me. And hopefully, I will see you in a day or two because Sarah and I both get tested and we are going to be in each other's bubbles because we're besties and we
have to be
live without each other. I know.
There you go.
We'll survive. But should we tell everyone, Sarah, what's happening?
Okay, we can tell them. And then I want to talk about the full moon. Is that okay?
Yes.
Let's do it.
That will be a good segue into our episode. So Sarah and I last year, some of you may have been there. with 75 other people online through Zoom. We had a virtual Nova Scotia wine tasting, all local wines. And guess what? We are bringing it back round deux.
In honor of the Nova Scotia lockdown, we're like, screw this. We got to get something ramped up for the squad. We love the R&Q fam. We've put it together and we're stoked about it because we've made it easier than ever.
And bigger and better.
Bigger, better.
We can't wait. There's some fun treats in store.
Yes, there's surprises. And we partnered with Harvest Wines. If you're here in Halifax or Nova Scotia, we've partnered with Voda Retreats for this. So you're going to get some little treats. And essentially you can order your ticket and your wine directly from Harvest in a beautiful little Rival and Queen pack. It's going to get delivered to you. You don't have to do anything for free. We're super stoked. So next Saturday, what's the date? May 8th.
Yeah.
Mark your calendars. If you want to join us, we would love to have you. You can get all the information either through Instagram or go to our website, rivalandqueen.com. We're going to hook you up. And if you aren't in Halifax or Nova Scotia and want to take part, we do have a BYOB ticket. We can tell you the wines we're drinking. You can pick them up. Or
and if you can't get those ones, you can just get any wine and come on and be entertained and see your friends. If you live out west or you live in the United States, just come on. We'll have a laugh. So we're super excited, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. I can't wait to see. We've been planning a live event for now over a year and I've not had a chance to do it. And that's okay. But like, I've just been missing seeing everyone's faces. So I'm so stoked for us to have the live event, even through Zoom. It'll just be nice to see everyone and jam. And last year, the chat box was on fire.
I know. And because we were actually talking and like running the event with Jess Babin, who led us in the tasting, we couldn't fully engage and like read all the side chatter happening in Zoom. But like, I feel like we need to be in there and we need to be interacting and reading stuff out loud just because it will be funny.
It was wild last year. It was like, yeah, anyways, it was like a social club. I loved it. I think the chat was the best part last year.
So definitely, like Sarah said, check out the information because we can only sell 100 tickets. So get in there, get those tickets. If we need to sell more, Sarah, we'll have to do round 2.
We may do a round 2 anyways.
We might because we love it and we love seeing all of you.
Exactly. Okay. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the full moon, because this has been something on our radar for the last month, ever since we talked to Rebecca Muir, Sacred Starlight, episode 77, was the impact of the full moon. So yesterday and the day before, I felt like I had no idea what was going on. My productivity yesterday was so crap. Like I couldn't get anything done. And not only couldn't I not get anything done, I couldn't like see the vision of what I was trying to do. And it was driving me nuts. And then of course I realized it was like a super full moon.
A pink moon.
A pink moon.
Yeah.
And so, and then today was the same thing. Like I didn't get a ton done and I've been exhausted. Like I slept in yesterday till 8 or 8:30, same thing today. And I think, so I've started tracking kind of what happens around the full moons, but what and this gave me so much like solace was I think during full moons, I'm just like not productive. Like I can't work at my normal capacity and I'm not clear. Like I'm foggy. I don't know what's going on. And although I didn't love that, it like just the fact that we've started tracking kind of our experiences made it me not stress out about it.
That's a really good point because Rebecca did tell us that we should start to see, I think before and after how we do feel. And I am 100% with you. And I did know it was coming. But I think I didn't attribute my lack of like motivation and clarity, exactly what you're saying, on Monday and Tuesday. I just thought it was because of the COVID stuff happening that everything was really shifting and changing, which is probably a little part of kind of mentally it's harder. But I think that it probably has a lot to do with the full moon too, because today, like we're recording on a Tuesday. So Tuesday we went golfing this morning for 9 holes. It was freezing, but fun. And like in my mind, because we were meant to do a team, but it was too cold. But I was like, this is a mental health day for me. Like I just need to like, if there's stuff I have to do, I'll do it. I'll take care of whatever and kind of just like take a step back. but I really did feel like it just didn't feel good to do anything. So I just accepted it. But do you think that's the moon? Like, I don't know.
Well, so I do think, well, I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to keep watching.
We're going to
but
track.
what I will tell you is, because I've noticed this, and I noticed it last month. The other thing I noticed is there is a period, and it might be the new moon, where I'm just like wild and on fire. And for like a week and a half, usually I can just do a huge amount of stuff, and my productivity is like the best. And also I can see exactly what I want to do and just like pound it out, get it done. So I do think there's a flip. And what I've actually done, I've kicked it up a notch, Ash. In my work calendar, I've gone ahead and put in all the full moons and new moons. And now I'm going to try next month to plan my workload around it. So I don't know yet, but we're going to find out. This will be like an ongoing conversation.
But it's so interesting because I was just reading about how it means when it's a super moon, or also called a pink moon, that it's closer, or sorry, it's 360.
Closer to Earth.
Yeah, closer to Earth. And it's 16% brighter than an average full moon, which when Rebecca was talking, usually have, or telling us, sorry, more energy because there's more light reflecting right on us and on like the world. But it's really interesting that there's more, but it seems to be like we have less energy to do things. So it could just be this one. Like, let's see next month.
But I think this is the thing for me. Yeah. So we're going to keep tracking. We'll keep sharing with you, for everyone listening. If the moon affects you, like, just let us know how, because I'm really curious. Because you're right. I thought I would be like wilder, and maybe I am, but I'm unfocused. And our guest today, actually, Jolene D'Entremont, who we'll tell you all about in just a moment. Mm-hmm. She told me when we recorded that full moons can be like a very feminine energy and like a yin energy. And we're actually meant to more so receive and like pause. So that made me feel like, okay, maybe I do need a pause.
And so our friend Jess Eamon, who's been on the show a few times, she called me yesterday last minute to go to the driving range. And I was like, I can't, like, I'm trying to get some stuff on, but done. And she said, I'm taking a mental health day today. So I feel like, you know, she's a very hard worker, love her. So it's something that I think like we're all experiencing in a similar form. So very interesting.
We're going to have to see next month. Like I put it in my calendar on May 26th. Let's see how we feel.
Oh, I like that. Let me know. Remind me.
All right. So Ash, let's introduce our guest today. A lovely, lovely soul. Oh my goodness. We are going to talk all about breath work in this episode.
We need so much right now. We need to create that space for ourselves right now more than ever. The deep breaths.
Yes. And like so today we have Jolene D'Entremont on, and she is a yoga teacher and she teaches breath work. And literally 10 days ago, Ash and I had never even done or considered breath work, but we reached out to her because we've heard about it and we've heard other people doing it. And we're always super curious to learn about different kind of, you know, wellness practices.
Yeah. Self-care.
And she introduced us to it. I did 2 sessions with her since we first reached out to her. And like, I've never experienced that kind of healing, like intense healing like that in such a short period of time.
It's very interesting. I was really scared after you did the first session, Sarah, because you told me, and you guys will hear so much about our experiences in this episode, but I was a little bit scared going into it because, not in a bad way, but just I was worried for what might come up or what I might feel, or that I wouldn't like it and that it would feel really, really, really long. But the 45 minutes went by, felt like 10 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to give yourself a safe space, time to lay, just focus on you. It's meditative, like you said, Sarah.
Well, and what I liked about our experiences is that you and I had such a different experience. Yeah. Shocker. Mine was like super freaking intense.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no one's surprised by that. But also such a mirror of what I've been going through this past month in my life. And I think to your point, like I was also scared. I was like nervous the first time too, because I just didn't know what was going to come up. And then the second time I did it with her, I was almost more nervous because I was like, oh my God, like, is something more intense yeah, I was like, what's going to happen now? But there's nothing to be scared of.
even how it ends, and she kind of takes you through this like visualization exercise or conversation, and like it ends on such a beautiful note. Wouldn't you agree? Even though yours was more intense, like you felt beautiful after, like your experience was beautiful.
My whole experience was beautiful. Like, even though mine was intense, like felt like I was like purging a lot of heartbreak, which sounds hard, but it wasn't upsetting. Like, I wasn't upset through any of it. It was just like almost watching it and letting it kind of be processed and let go of it. Right. Like, so it was, it was like a beautiful clearing experience. And it was the way she guides you through it. Like, your heart just feels expansive at the end.
Yeah, I agree. And she's so lovely. So definitely, if you're feeling like you want to try, because you can do group sessions. And I did say this at the end of the episode, when you are in a group session, you can't see other people. You can, turn your camera away if you want and just listen to Jolene, but you don't hear anyone else. You don't hear other people breathing. That was my main concern. You just hear the music and Jolene guiding you. So don't be scared, because it's, how much is it, Sarah? I think for one set, like
you
a
can
group session?
Group session for like $40. And I think she does them monthly. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I loved it, the group session too.
Yeah. So definitely check that out, and check her out at yogaon.ca.
www.yogaon.ca. And you can connect with her Instagram at yogaon.ca. And we'll put both of those links in the show notes. So shall we dive in and discover all about breath work?
It's such a great conversation. When we talked to her, I felt like this conversation went by so quickly, because she's just lovely, and it's so interesting to learn about.
And there's a very funny story at the end about my roommate overhearing me in the session.
Poor Katie.
All right,
let's do it. We are so excited to welcome Jolene here with us tonight, because you really changed our lives this week, Jolene. It's been crazy.
Welcome.
Thank
you. Wow. We're so happy you're here. You just like a week ago introduced us to breathwork, and we've both had the most unreal experiences with it from you. Like, you guided us through. So we're so stoked to have you here on the podcast this week to teach us all about breathwork and just talk a little bit about what we experienced through it.
Amazing. I'm so happy we decided to do that before the podcast, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
To have that experience. So thanks for agreeing to that.
No, we're glad you suggested it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing Sarah and I love more than trying things that we've never tried. But Sarah, you had tried it a few days before we did our own private session. So you've kind of really thrown yourself into this.
Yeah, I did it twice. So I had twice the experience. I was like, we did it just a couple days ago for the second time together, Ashley and I was like scared before. Yes. Like,
I was too.
Yeah. I don't know why, because the first time I did it with you, Jolene, I wasn't like nervous at all, really, because I think I was just like, who knows what this is? I'm just going to show up and we're going to see what happens. Mm-hmm. But then when we did it the other day and I was doing it for the second time, I think because I knew the experience I had the first time was so intense, I was like, oh my God, is it going to be more intense? But it wasn't. It was very different.
Each time.
Yeah. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. There was nothing to be scared about. I was just being a baby.
It's such an interesting, someone wrote us on Instagram once they saw that we were doing this with you, and said that they were starting to do, I don't know if it was a course or a certification in breath work as well. So it's something you're definitely hearing more and more about. I'm sure it's been around for so long, but it's just becoming more, I don't want to say mainstream, but more popular, I think, with people wanting to at least try it and experience some of the benefits themselves. So what kind of got you started in this world of breath work?
I will tell you. I feel like I wanted to add to that because it feels like breathwork is now what yoga might have been in the 70s. But breathwork actually began in earnest here. Well, pranayama, let's start again. So breathwork is sort of an umbrella term, but the kind that I have been introduced to and now lead started really in the 60s by Stanislav Grof, his name is. And he was actually doing work with LSD. And then that became illegal So after that, he wanted to help people transform traumas and access different emotional healing work, transformational work, rebirthing. But because they could no longer use LSD, he started experimenting with breath and knew the power of the breath. So that's sort of interesting to me. And that kind of popularized it in certain circles in America. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, with all things that really work, it starts to become a little more mainstream. But I feel like it's only become mainstream in the last, 10 years or so, probably. Yeah. More so in the US. But the way I found it was I was on retreat, actually teaching on retreat in Costa Rica.
Because you're a yoga teacher.
I am a yoga teacher, yes. And so I would lead or was part of retreats all over the world. And I happened to be in one in Costa Rica. And I was at a little cafe and this woman walked by. And I just knew, when you see someone, you're like, oh, this person she could change my life. I don't know why. But she sat next to me. I said, whatever you do, I didn't even ask questions. I said, can you come over tomorrow? And I didn't ask her how much. I just said, please come to, this is where I am. I need you. I don't know why. And so I had no preparation whatsoever. I laid down on the bed and she started teaching me this breath work. And I had done some, pranayama and breath work before, but not this kind of transformational breath work.
Right.
So halfway through, I immediately started to feel this physical sensations that you have experienced and which are so intense. And the emotional release that I was able to, wow, like I sobbed like a baby, so afterwards, that was about an hour worth of breath work. And I left there, when she left, I felt such a deep sense of unconditional love for myself and for all beings. And I just felt like there is something to this. So, and that really lasted. It wasn't like it just disappeared the next day, like that really felt like a big transformation had happened and you couldn't go back to the person you were before that, if that makes sense. So I wrote to her and said, how do I learn this? And she said, well, my teacher is a heart surgeon in Israel. So I said, I don't know if that's good. She goes, yeah, and he teaches it in Hebrew. So that was not an option. I can barely speak both of my official languages of French and English. So anyway, I got home and I thought I need to research this. So I found some teachers online. They all live in LA, surprise, surprise. And I just sort of dove into that kind of with both feet and thought, this is what I need to do. And then by coincidence, I think I was in a group and somebody said, who was leading our coaching group, said, can someone lead a breathwork session? And I just was like, okay, I have to. I must say yes. And so I did this at a retreat here without having training or whatever. I knew I could hold the space and I had been through enough of it kind of on my own. Anyway, that happened that weekend. And the women in this group all said, you have to do this. They all had sort of life.
Quite transformational.
Yeah, big transformational experiences in a half an hour.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, like this is just, I need to bring this to more people.
That's crazy.
Was that the original question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How I
get into it. Yeah. So it all started on that beach in that little cafe in Costa Rica for me.
Wow.
And so you came, oh, sorry, go Sarah.
Oh no, that's okay.
Ashley.
No, so you came back, like you brought this wealth of knowledge back with you. And then did you just kind of feel drawn to just like, I need to start teaching this and sharing it with more people so they can experience that kind of release that I felt?
Yes. So I think it wasn't as linear as that. I think I was really coaxed into it, to be honest, by the people, the women that I had held the space for originally in this group. We were there as a coaching group, and they said, you need to, this is your calling, this is your soul's work. And I did really feel that, but I think something was, it was new for me and I wasn't too confident about it. So I started working one-on-one with women, mostly women, in my living room, and just sort of experimenting and say, like, can you come over and we'll do this? And I want to learn everything about this. And then the pandemic happened. And so I started offering it online. I just sort of jumped in, same thing. I just was like, I think more people need this. So the pandemic actually was a blessing in some way, a silver lining. And a lot of people were doing it online anyway, but no one here was doing it that I knew of online. So,
and it is kind of like an intimate experience in some ways. That it's nice to feel, even though you can do it with people wherever, it is nice to feel connected to someone, I think. Like, I'm glad you're here.
Right. Yeah. When I did it online, for example, it was with men, and I just I didn't feel that I felt safe, but didn't feel a specific connection with that person or people. So it is nice to have already a base of students nearby, or, friends who trusted me enough to try it with me. So, yeah.
I love it. And so you mentioned kind of pranayama, which is also, maybe you could explain, could you maybe introduce what breath work is as a whole? And we can touch on, because I know pranayama is a different type than what we did with you.
Right. So maybe I'll talk just briefly about pranayama first, because pranayama is again, another blanket term for breathing practices. So prana is your life force energy. So by definition, you are bringing in more life force energy. So pranayama could be ocean sounding breathing that you use in a yoga class, like ujjayi breathing, alternate nostril breathing, anything where you're actually accessing more the parasympathetic nervous system. So calming the nervous system down. And the type of breath work we did, if you'll notice, wasn't necessarily calming. I mean, in the end it does, but we're actually kind of accessing.
Mine was very intense. There was no calming.
There was no calming.
Mine was very calm.
Yeah, so everybody experiences something different.
So different.
The breathing pattern that we use in this type of transformational breathing, or breath work, as we like to call it, is a circular breathing. So there is no gap between the inhale and the exhale. So you constantly, it's called a continuous conscious breath or circular breath. So you are increasing the oxygen level in your body and decreasing the CO2. And that consistency, that pattern, that depth of breath, or the rhythm of breath, is what actually creates that transformational, what's the word I'm looking for? So that shift from being in the mind to being in your body. So it gives your brain something to do, your mind, that task of staying on the breath, no matter what, and you hear me saying that and coaxing you along throughout to stay with the breath in and out, in and out.
I know you're saying things as we're doing the breathwork session, but like, I don't remember, and I'm not conscious of you saying anything. Like, I can hear your voice, but I'm like, after you've said a few times, you're like, oh, and I was saying this. And I'm like, I have no recollection of that.
Which is so great, right? Because you're so embodied in your body, which is the whole point, which is amazing. I'm just there as a guide if someone needs me, if they need a little more coaxing. But Sarah, you kind of went right in it, which was great. So that breath, the circular breathing, it allows you to shut down, and I mean, on a scientific level, the default mode network, which is like a part of our brain, is responsible for our survival and for also our critical thinking. So our inner critic is also in that part of our brain. The prefrontal cortex is one of those parts. And we know it very well. It's on all day long while we're awake in our conscious awareness. And so during a breathwork session, though, that gets to quiet down a little bit, and you can access the different sort of the deeper parts of the brain that are not the critical parts of our brain, that are more our true nature, our true selves. And when you quiet that down, you actually get to experience, your emotions in a way that is pure, or if there's any processing that needs to happen. You don't think about it, you just are in it. And in that way, you get to process what needs to be processed, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a cleansing, a real clearing, physically, emotionally, mentally also.
It surprisingly went by so much faster. And maybe that is because you're kind of, in that meditative sort of state, because when Sarah said, oh, it will be definitely 40, 45 minutes, but it will go really, really fast. And I was thinking, really? Like, I felt like I was going to kind of come in and out of it, but you're really so focused on your breathing that's all you can think about.
Yeah, you do lose that. I understand what you're saying. Like, you lose that total awareness of time, but also consciousness.
Yeah, so cool.
So it's also, when I talked about the scientist, the doctor who did experiments with LSD, he was actually trying to create an altered state.
Right.
To have those big transformational moments, and that's what actually happens in a breathwork session if you go long enough as well. And so,
well, I think that's so, because it makes sense to me. Like, you're turning off just enough of your consciousness to actually let yourself heal whatever's below the surface. And think of how much of our lives are spent like avoiding our triggers, or the things that like cause us anxiety or cause us worry or like depression. Yeah. So once you kind of shut off the risk associated with experiencing it, your body naturally knows how to heal itself.
That's right.
And can feel it.
Yeah. Integration is the word I love to use. Instead of, you get to integrate all the stuff. And you are really in present moment. So you're experiencing presence, and you're strengthening your ability to be calm through uncomfortable circumstances. You know what I mean? So you actually get to trust your body a lot more as well when you're experiencing something quite intense, but you're safe. It's like a retraining of the brain. Like, oh, I can do this. I can be in uncomfortable sensations or emotions and survive that, and in fact feel lighter and better afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
And our thoughts, we're either thinking in the past or the future most of the time, and truly being present is difficult. So the breath is the only place it's happening is now. So it's another beautiful part of the practice.
And it's so similar. The card, I know Sarah said I had to share this, but I pulled one of these cards I have from just like, I don't do it every day, but when I feel drawn, but it talks about as well, when you are stressed or you're feeling anxious, it's really hard to kind of have really flowing, slow moving breaths in and out. You feel like they're short and compressed, but it's just so funny, the connection between trying to have control about like calming yourself down, slowing your breathing down. And it really, really works, but it feels so difficult in the moment throughout the day. But when you're kind of laying there and that's all you have, I guess it's similar to meditating too, Sarah, probably, like when that's really what you're focusing on.
Well, I think so just for everyone listening, Ashley has these, like, they're super cute. These cards we got. Did we get them in PEI or Newfoundland?
Newfoundland. Yeah. They're called like daily mindfulness cards. So there's sections, one's rest and balance. I'm not even going to remember the other three right now. Awareness, maybe I can't remember the fourth one, but
they're these really cute cards. And the day after we did our breathwork session, the one Ashley happened to pull was Hack the Breath. So I was like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this on the on the podcast. But Ash is very good at connecting with her breath, because you talk with us all the time. You do this through the day. When you realize you're feeling anxious, you'll take like 3 deep breaths to calm down.
Yeah, I'm a big sigher, so I definitely know when I'm feeling like, but I used to think it was a bad thing. And Sarah, sorry if I can't recall who told us it's not really. It's kind of something that's just saying like you're like connected to your breath, but I can't remember who that was. Sorry.
Yeah, they said it was like I'm wondering who that was too. They said it's like a natural coping mechanism and healing mechanism.
I like to think of it as like a little release valve, where you get to,
feels good.
Just let it go.
Well, and I think like ultimately what I found so amazing about this experience and kind of what you're talking about, Ashley, is just like the power of our breath, and what you mentioned, Jolene, like it came about as something to
work that has kind of the same effects as LSD. So isn't that insane? Like just that in itself is insane to me, that through strictly breathing, we have this ability to entirely kind of transform our consciousness and allow, like, really reach these altered states.
Naturally.
Naturally, like it's crazy.
I know, you get high on your own breath, and it's so amazing.
And we do it to live. Like it's something just within us that we're just doing all
It's the only part of our body that is autonomic, and also controllable, right? So it's amazing. It's life force itself. Yeah, it holds all the power, and it's right there under our noses or our mouths.
Yes. And so one of the things that I want to share from my first experience, because we just talked about this, was the first time I did the breath work with you, and I've shared this through my Instagram a little bit, I like could feel myself processing heartbreak, which was crazy. But like you said, I wasn't feeling it. It was almost like I was watching those feelings that I had held in my body for years move through and release. And it wasn't like I could just like see it and I knew exactly what it was, but it wasn't like feeling it in a painful way.
You didn't have to relive
I didn't have to relive it. Right. That's exactly it. And so like, that is not
the beauty of it.
I know, it's such a terrible thing to relive.
You integrated it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have the felt sensation of it. You can't think your way through heartbreak. Like,
oh my God, no.
You actually have to heal it or integrate it on a felt level, a real somatic level.
And that was kind of, there was only the first time I did it, like the first time I did it was much more emotionally intense. It was a really big release. However, I'll say this was not like a surprise thing that I was processing it. It's been coming up for me a lot this month. Like a lot of things to do with past relationships have been coming up this month. So I've been working on clearing them anyways. So it was more of like, it was more of like, oh, this makes sense. But it was really nice to, like, it felt like I was standing like 6 feet away watching it and just seeing it like happen outside of my body almost. But like I was physically feeling it, like I was crying, but I didn't really like even recognize that I was crying, but I could feel like I had been crying after. And it felt like I'd been sobbing, but I wasn't. Like, it was just I've never experienced anything like that. It was like I could just objectively see myself processing these things or experiencing them without being wrapped up in the
story of it, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You release the story of it because the mind wants to figure it out, and you can't figure it out sometimes. You just have to actually breathe into it and see what needs to be released here. And the body is so wise, right? And the breath helps you to just lift it and clear it. That's kind of what I think. I did an Instagram post about this. It's almost like a descaler in your coffee machine. It's like, to me, a breathwork session is like just a good descaling. It lifts away the dirt, the layers.
So Sarah, because you did it twice, like, so that was your first experience kind of feeling those emotions that were coming in some shape or form. How different was the second session then? Just curious. Well,
I think
I was there, but I mean, I wasn't watching you. So
I think that everything I do just has such a high level of intensity right now. Like there's just so much release and change going on. So right now, in this particular moment in time, as we're recording this for this past month, and I've mentioned this to Ashley, I feel like my body is forcing me to let go of everything that I've held on to for the last 3 years, because I'm about to go through a huge period of change. I don't know if that's true. That is literally what I get from my intuition. And I'm starting to see glimpses of things that are coming. And so my body is just like, now, like, you have to deal with all of this shit now. And it's like stuff from 3 years ago, stuff with work, stuff with relationships. It's all coming up now. I'm making space. And I mean, maybe we'll listen to this in 6 months. I'll be like, oh, I was wrong. But if you ask me right now, in my heart, that is what I believe is going on. So because of that, I feel like everything is just at like such a high level of intensity. And we've talked about this on the past few episodes. Like this month, I've felt like sadness, which is such an odd feeling for me. Like it's not something that I'm normally experiencing. So a lot of big emotions. So I felt like both of my sessions were very intense, but it's suiting for what I'm going through and what I've decided to lean into right now. But the second one, so the first one, it felt like I did clear out a lot, but I didn't get a chance to finish almost. Like at the end, it was like
almost all done, but not. And so when we went back into this one, like right away, it was like I could feel the last little bit of whatever I had to clear out, like that emotion coming out. But then after that but I felt that like finish and like totally release, which was like really nice. And the first time my whole body was like contracted in so tightly for literally like the full 30-40 minutes, and my hands didn't relax for 20 minutes after that. I was so physically exhausted after, because your muscles are just like,
it's a workout.
Yeah,
sure. It can be. Yeah.
And so the second time my muscles did contract, but not to the same extent. So it wasn't like as tight. So I really felt it was almost like completing a healing, I felt like. And when I was finished the second one, Ash, I felt like just like much more open, whereas I still felt I was like very actively processing stuff when we finished the first one. It was crazy.
Well, I think, Jolene, you said the other day, doing a session each time, it's like a yoga session. It's very, very different. And I think, obviously, Sarah, yours was kind of like a continuation of a bit of the first one. So I'm really curious. I wanted to do it again and just see kind of like what happens, maybe the same thing, or maybe some other things come up. I don't know. It's interesting.
Always new things come up. And I wanted to mention something, because you talked about it and I kind of want to bring that up, but around sadness. And I feel like we always are kind of, well, it depends on how you were taught, but we're not really taught to embrace those kind of feelings, because we label them as negative or whatever. But, you know, having a full, rich life means that you want to feel all of your feelings, not just happiness or whatever. You know, you want to actually be able to process all of that and trust that those are good feelings. Anger is good. There's a reason that you're angry.
And they're not sustainable. You can't sustain anger all the time. You can't sustain happiness all the time.
But you learn how to process it quicker, you know, when you accept, and there's less resistance to the feelings. So when you resist the feelings, they're just going to stay. And I feel like in breathwork sessions, that's what I experienced anyway, was that, oh, it's okay for me to be angry or, you know, sad or,
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit, and then maybe Ash, you can tell us about your experience, but how, like, you told us this when we had a phone call, but what was your experience when you started diving into breathwork? Like, how did it help you?
Oh, I think I had to let go of a lot, like you just talked about, Sarah. I had, you know, I have 3 kids. I'm almost 50. You know, I have like divorce. You know, just relationships, a few of them. But like you, a couple of times in my breath work, I was able to kind of do that sort of hovering idea of seeing myself, and certain circumstances or memories might even show up. Things I'd been holding on to where I was not forgiving myself for. I could see them from a place of true compassion. So I was able to really let go of a lot of the anger actually I had towards myself, which was holding me back from all of, you know, everything really. I mean, you don't want to be angry with yourself, but I don't even think I knew to the extent that I felt angry, or I wasn't forgiving myself for something, or, and I just sort of saw me, you know, in that situation, and just said, oh, she was just doing the best she could with what she knew at that time, you know.
Oh, I love that.
So it was a beautiful release. And then, you know, just physically releasing. One of the things that I stopped drinking alcohol. Like, I didn't set out to do that, but it's almost like it doesn't work in my body anymore vibrationally. It was like a real, one day I woke up and it was like, it's just not working for me. Not that that's for everybody, but that's my own personal experience. I've heard other people talk about that. So you just like healthier lifestyle. It's like you vibrationally change from the inside out. So a lot of shifts happen.
Yeah.
So a lot of emotional shifts. I've never cried so much in all my life, but I kind of look forward to it. I look forward to all my emotions now. It's like, oh, and I see that they're just reflections. You know, people are all just reflecting back to me everything I need to learn to.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I think, and this is kind of what I think you were touching on, is we aren't taught how to deal with so many of our emotions. And especially when you are positive and you really appreciate that side. And I think we're all probably, I mean, we've only just met, but I feel like you're a very warm, positive person. And I know, Ash, you are, I know I am, but because of that, I sometimes never knew how to deal with my anger or like frustrations. And it's only been recently that I've truly, like, a lot in the last 2 years, started to really feel those things and realizing like how empowering that actually is for us, right? When we, like,
especially
you said,
women.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be angry.
Yeah.
It's really, that means bitchy.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to say, Jolene, the whatever you're doing and you're almost 50, you look amazing. So just I can't believe
next year. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We don't believe you.
Yeah, you look amazing.
It's true.
But it's really interesting
well,
that you guys talk about kind of how we deal and process different emotions, because I feel like, and I mentioned this the day we did our breathwork session, the three of us, is that like I had cried that day. I was mad about something and not at my husband or anything. It just was like the emotion. I just was like, I need to cry. That happened a few times that week, actually. And I was just like, it feels good. Like I would hug my husband and just say like, hold me. I don't know. I'm crying. I just need to let it out. And I've always been like that. And sometimes I think that I feel crazy when that happens, but now I know, okay, my body is just processing whatever this sadness is or anger washing over me. And just like, I let it come. And then at 5 minutes after, I'm fine. Like I just kind of like let it come in and let it come out. And I grew up in a family very much like that. Like we process things that had like hard conversations or certain conversations like head on. And then everyone's like, okay, great. Let's just like move on. But I think that's a good thing now looking back, because I do have friends or, other, let's say family members who don't have that experience. And you're right. Like even my mom growing up, I think, and that's that kind of generation is like, you just kind of, didn't talk about certain things and you didn't have as much affection, which is really hard to break through, I think. But my experience was very different. I felt like I was able to give myself space to just be and like shut everything off. Like that's what it felt like to me, was like I really just gave myself to like not think, not do, and just be in connection with my breath. I did feel a little bit of heaviness in my forehead. Like I could kind of feel that and like the back of my neck, but nothing too painful or intense. But yeah. And Sarah, my hands did get a little
lobster clawy.
Yeah, but I did move them. I don't know if I was meant to, but I just moved them and I did put them down by my side and kind of like open them in and out, and was just like trying to focus my breath towards those parts of my body as well to see like if that would help. But then you kind of go right back to your breath, right? Because then you're like, I can't really think about it.
I kind of want to mention that too, that tetany, or we call it tetany, or the claw hands, is that it happens when we're forcing the exhale. And some people are forcers of their exhale. So it's actually, and I don't know if you remember, Sarah, but I would say focus more on the inhale. So it's a lot more effort on the inhale, and the exhale is sort of just a spilling out.
Give us a sample.
I'll give you a sample. So there are a couple of ways to teach it. I usually, as an introductory way, teach it in 3 parts. So it's 2 breaths in and then 1 out. So it's belly, chest, exhale. So it goes like this. But almost like a little spilling. It's hard to do when you're sitting up, when you do this breath. And then another way you can do it is simply just in and out, but you keep it moving. So there's no gap. It's like it's a very kind of increase of energy breath, right? You're really building your oxygen, but you keep it flowing. So your only job is just to keep it moving and no gaps between the inhale and exhale. So Sarah, with you next time, I would want you to try to do it without maybe that 2 parts and just really focus on the inhale and see if the physical part is less, but I still get some physical sensations, but.
I know, but mine were like, Ashley's like her hands clawed up a little. My whole face was numb. Yeah. like within like 2 minutes of starting, which is like, so probably I was pushing the exhale too much.
It can be. So, but what's so great about it is that you're always in charge of your own breath and in control of the whole situation the whole time. You can stop anytime, You're not going to ruin the processing that happens. You can slow it down.
And I did do kind of both. I just felt now, like, I don't even know how I knew to do one or the other, but I think naturally I was just doing the in and out, and then I would hear you kind of chime in, and then I was like, oh, I should go back to that and try that.
But it's whatever works right for you. So I've been taught both ways, and I feel like in the beginning, teaching it in those 3 parts, a lot of people, and you guys are great breathers, but a lot of people have a hard time accessing deep into their belly. So it's a diaphragmatic breath. So you want to push into the belly to expand it, to get as much oxygen as possible. And that's why we breathe in and out of our mouth, because there's a bigger channel, right?
Yeah.
A bigger space, a wider space to open. And you really want to relax your jaw and your face when you're breathing in this way. So it should be less efforting, but it feels so different, right, than normal breathing. But when you think about it, we are not consciously breathing throughout the day. And I love that it's called conscious or continuous conscious breathing, because that's the whole point, is that you're consciously choosing this breath. And
we do a lot of Pilates. I think that helps too, because you really have to breathe.
We do the Kamalati breathing. And
I always think of Nicola. It's crazy. No, that it is just wild though to think just how conscious breathing can have such an effect on our body and our state, and how healing it can be, right? Because you can access that anytime.
You can
exactly. It's always available.
And if you wanted to do just even a couple of, you could do it every day. I try to do it every day.
Right.
But, you don't have to do that. Obviously, I feel like you want to do a nice long session. Maybe, it's up to each person, but I try to do it every day, at least 15 minutes, just to kind of clear stuff. And I always cry. I always have a good but it feels so good.
Ooh.
You can get quite.
So it is something you can do daily.
You can do daily, yeah.
Okay. And people can kind of incorporate it for so there's different times. You don't have to, because with you, we did 40 minutes. Is that kind of the deal?
It's about 45. We did about an hour and a half was a full session, but in a one-on-one in the days of being in person, you could actually judge where people were more so, because I could see their bodies and, see if they need more time. Like you said, that first session, you could have gone a little longer to process, right?
Right. Yeah.
You weren't quite done.
Yeah.
But in person, you would have a sense of that and let the person go a little longer. And then some people who are really kind of tweaking out, you want to let them relax a little bit more, maybe have a shorter session, but you don't need a long session. I think that's something that the holotropic breathwork community, they do like 3-hour sessions.
Oh my God.
And it is a journey, of full transformation, right? So
holy cow.
That's intense.
It's a long training as well. So I don't have that training, but
oh my gosh. So, but you do it for 15 minutes every day.
Even 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. I love that. How can people start kind of trying breath work, or because they can do it with you?
Well, I was just saying I need to record a few things. I would love to offer that and have like a daily practice kind of breath work, a very short version of it. And then also offer maybe a longer version that you could do at home. I think that's totally appropriate. I think in the beginning, it's nice to have a guide. Yeah. Someone that if you have questions, or if you were unsure or felt anxious about it, it's nice to do it with someone. Yeah. So I would recommend that, especially if you have a lot of anxiety, or if you tend to be in somebody who has, anxiety. What was the other word I was thinking about? Just like stress, a lot of fears. It might be helpful to have someone.
But again, my favorite part I just want to share was really towards the end, when you were specifically talking about like this doorway, and I think it was like a goal, I don't know, the heart, and just sending love to yourself, and then thinking about other people's. I felt like, I don't even know how to describe it, but the area around my body, I felt like it was just like expanding, and I could like actually feel that. And like, I felt the corner, of my mouth just turning up with like happiness. And I don't even know what that was connected to, but I just felt so happy. And then I almost felt high when I sat up. Like I felt like this weird lightheadedness that like, I was like, oh, okay, what's happening? It was I liked it.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that part of the breath work, because that's my favorite part, is the end, is the gratitude meditations at the end, those moments where you actually really connect to your heart. And it's a great way to kind of come back into the body after the breathwork session. And it's very tangible and healing. And that's when most people kind of let go as well. If you've been holding on still and resisting a little bit of the emotional release, I feel like that moment, like who doesn't want to connect with their own heart usually, right? Oh. And other people.
Well, and that's why I think it was so nice to have it as a guided experience, like, because you are a wonderful guide. You do create like such a nice experience, even before we started, like just kind of like explaining what's going to happen, the experiences. And it was like, I knew every step of the way. I was like, oh, Jolene said this was going to happen, so I know what's coming next. Like, it was all good. I didn't kind of fight whatever the mental chatter was in the beginning and those things. And then, like you said, the end was such a beautiful like ending, and way to kind of come back into your like your presence. Right. That it was I highly recommend a guided experience. Yeah. If you're just starting. I think that was beautiful.
You two were just such a joy to be with. And like I said, I cried through the whole thing, and I'm not even doing it. So it's just such a beautiful thing to kind of witness, you know, to see people being very present with their own breath. You know, it's such a beautiful thing. It's like watching a baby breathe, you know. Oh, yeah. A newborn. It's like, oh.
My mouth got really dry. That's something that I just remembered. Is like a couple times I had to stop and kind of like try and wet my palate naturally because I felt dry, but I think that's probably pretty normal, is it, Jolene? Because you're just forcing
and
so
like
much
lips
air.
are dry, and you're breathing through your mouth, right? So obviously it's kind of can create some of those physical shifts in the body. Some people get really cold, some people get really hot, you know.
I was cold, but the room that I was in was freezing. So thank God Sarah told me to bring a blanket with me, or I would have been freezing. But no, I can't wait to try it again. And thank you so much for allowing Sarah and I to even, experience
introducing us to it. Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's so funny because I know it has been around for quite some time, but I never tried it. And it's just been the last few weeks that I've heard more people talking about it. And I was like, I don't even really know what breathwork is. Like, I want to try it. What's the experience like? And then, this has been unreal, like so healing. I just can't get over. It feels so clearing or something. Yeah.
Highly recommend for people listening, if they're just wanting to experience something different and connect with their bodies differently. It's definitely that it really gives you that full experience to slow down and connect.
So great. What do you love most about breathwork before we wrap, Jolene?
I think it's just that I have been able to really access all of my feelings, even the deep down kind of ones that I've tucked away for years, you know, like sort of the shameful ones or whatever they are, and just being able to be with them in that way that's so unconditional, just like a mother would be. And it's sort of a little bit like a reparenting as well. It's sort of there's that inner child work that people do. It's just a beautiful, tender way to be with yourself. And I love, actually, Ashley, I wanted to mention that, but you have a gift of being free to be vulnerable, you know, with yourself and your partner and your family. And that's not everybody has that, right? We aren't taught that. So that's what I think it has given me, is just that it's okay to be vulnerable and to be, you know, and let it go. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's been the best part for me. Just allowing myself that gift of vulnerability.
Oh, it's been such a cool thing to experience. And I think more people should try it out. It's just,
Thank you for having me on.
Well, we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not done yet. Okay.
Ashley.
Well, what is lighting you up right now, Jolene? What are you excited about? Is it breath work? Is it your children?
Definitely breath work. I think I could talk about this for a long time, but definitely breath work. Also, I've been doing another kind of breath work, which is also continuous, but through the nose. And I really want to bring that to more people. So I'm kind of experiencing it on my own and doing my own research on that. Okay. Similar, but just 15 minutes twice a day and full presence. You know, it's so amazing. So that's lighting me up. And being a coach as well. So that's when I do it sort of one-on-one, is that this kind of breath work, and also doing some coaching around that kind of inner child work, stuff like that. And
Cool.
using the breath to help you get there, to really just witness all of your feelings and be with them, because that's truly how I believe people will heal themselves and integrate anything. Also, you know, I was just saying my website, I'm kind of excited about new copy and new website and new recordings, and I'm on the edge of fear a little bit. So I know it's my new direction. It's sort of like, I notice the stories pop in every once in a while. Like, I think I'm too old to do this. Why am I doing this? But it's like, no, people need this. People need this. Yes. And I need to do this for me. You know, it's so healing for me. I think that's what truly lights me up. Is, I think I mentioned this in the session the other day, when you get to hear people's experiences, and that really, really lights me up.
Oh, no, keep so going. Much. We will keep an eye out for all the new content coming out from you.
I'm excited. Thank you.
And how can people connect with you now?
Through my website, that is under construction. It will soon be looking new and fresh, but it's www.yogaon.ca. So that's one way. Through Instagram as well, yogaon.jo, I think is my handle. So those are the best ways to find me, actually. And on my Instagram, actually, you can go on my link on the bio site, and you can book once a month. I try to do a group online breathwork, which was the first time you tried it, Sarah.
I loved it.
And that's kind of a unique experience as well. And once COVID is sort of out of the way, I really look forward to doing these in person. These in-person sessions are just so, so powerful, because you, again, I think I said this to you, Sarah, earlier, is that when you hear other people experiencing, even though you're not paying attention to them, because really you don't care about anything else when you're in a breathwork session. You could care less what other people are doing or how you look or whatever, which is quite freeing. But in a group session, you actually hear other people kind of either crying or, you know, breathing, and it's just the group experience. The charge in the room is just incredible. The energy in the room. Yeah.
And just to confirm, your Instagram handle is yogaon.ca. People want to find you.
Good. Thank you.
But we will post. We will make sure that these are linked in the show notes so people can find you.
Yeah, and I highly recommend the sessions you do monthly. They're awesome. So if anyone's curious about trying it out, you can try out the next one.
Interested in one-on-ones are also amazing, because those are more like a coaching session, so you get a little extra attention.
And just so people know, because it was just Sarah and I was thinking I was going to hear her breathing, or if there were other people, I would be hearing and seeing them, kind of that vibe. But you do mute everyone. So it does feel very one-on-one in a sense, because you can only hear Joe's voice and you feel connected to her, not the other people. Because I was worried about that. And the music.
You didn't want to hear my sobbing.
No, I actually thought, I'm like, isn't it going to be distracting if I can hear Sarah breathing and like doing whatever she's doing the whole time? So I just want to let people know you can't.
I kind of wish I was hearing Sarah crying and breathing.
I've heard her cry.
It's a special experience for everyone. Well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to share this story right now because it's very funny. So the first time I was doing the breath work, just before we wrap, I didn't tell my roommate. She was out when we started, and she came home, and at first she was like, is there a guy over here? Something strange happening? And then after, she's like, oh my God, she sounds like she's crying. And then she said she sat there for 10 minutes wondering if she should come down, and then was like, what could make her this sad? Like, one of her parents must have died. That's the only thing this could be.
Just go to roll.
And like, so then she was like going to call Ashley to be like, what's happened? Like, oh my God. And she checked my Instagram and I posted I was doing breath work, but she said she sat there like at the top, like basically outside my door for 10 minutes being like, what do I do? Like, is it insensitive if I just leave?
Well, someone walked in on me. I was in the meditation and yoga room.
No.
I think it was Charles who works in the building, but I had this sign up that says occupied. So, you know, you would assume it was occupied. But, and you might have known, I don't know, Joe, if you even saw that, but I kind of like was like, oh, lay back down, but I couldn't hear anything, like even the door, because you're just so focused, but I could feel the light from the hall for a second. And I was thinking the same thing. If that person heard me breathing in there, they probably thought, what? Is there two people in there? Like, what's happening? Anyway.
I have a question for you, actually. Yeah. In the future moments, do you remember that at the end? Did you see anything there? Remember you said you were transitioning and moving forward? I wanted to know if either of you had something you wanted to share.
Oh, Ash, you go.
It's so interesting because I had a psychologist that I worked with years ago for a while, and she used to do some visual, I don't know, she would guide you and you would close your eyes. They're very interesting. And then you could kind of feel yourself in a specific moment in time. Mm-hmm. And the same vision that I always have, even in the years ago, I had the same one. And it's just, I don't know what it means, but I'm in a house. It's really sunny. I have like a white shirt on. I'm laughing, but I can't see the people around me, but I know the house is like filled with love and there's just like people around and I'm making food. And I've had that same vision probably 3 or 4 times in those types of things. And I'm like, I don't know what it means.
Oh, that's wild. I love that.
That's cool. I only say baby because a few people have had babies since they did breath work and they saw babies and then got pregnant. So anyway, I'm not suggesting anything like that.
No. We're not offended.
Ash, there you go.
But it has happened.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I don't remember actually. I didn't the first time. I definitely didn't because I had literally no awareness of anything the first time when we were finishing. I was literally trying to like come back to some level of reality at the end. Like I wouldn't have known. But the second time I probably did. And actually it was something that I had envisioned that morning because I woke up that morning and was like really amped up and was writing and stuff. And it was the same thing. And we had talked about relationships a lot before. So I feel like it was around that, which was really nice. It was a nice vision. It was good. Yeah. So all good things. But the first time I definitely had I was on a different planet.
I love that. You were altered state.
Oh yeah. I was like, 3 planets over talking to who knows who. Okay. Last but not least, we want to play a round of Queenie Grants, which is our made up game. It is very easy. You've gone through this far, Jolene. You'll be ready.
All right.
So all we're going to do is we're going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 101, and we'll ask you a question. And Ash will go, and I'll go. A little bit of fun.
Okay.
So pick a number.
67.
67. Let's see. Oh, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh my God, Beauty and the Beast. 100%.
Really?
Is that a Disney movie?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
That movie so
I love that movie
much.
too.
Like,
that's
I still watch it.
Yeah. Is that your favorite too, Ash?
Oh, I think it is, honestly. Like I was obsessed with the candlestick and the teacup. I love Snow White as well.
The transformation, And Snow White. Such a good
I know how she turns him from being this mean beast into like a prince. It's beautiful.
I didn't like that.
With her love.
And I used to have the sing along, which is like Be Our Guest, and it was like karaoke. The little teacup I don't know. I loved that song.
Oh yeah. No, I like Beauty and the Beast, but it scared me. I think Aladdin was probably my favorite, but that also scared me.
I love Aladdin.
I was very afraid of the genie when he would turn. No, mine was Aladdin or Lion King were my 2 favorites.
I would say Aladdin was my second. Yeah.
All right. Ash, do you want
the things we find out on the Rival and Queen podcast?
This is the important details.
I love this.
I'm going to go with 19.
19? This is a
Came
newbie.
To me.
I like that. Which time of year would you prefer to attend a friend's wedding? This is such a funny one.
Well, considering we haven't been able to attend any weddings, I would take any time of the year, any day of the week to go and see people and have a party. But I want to say, I feel like like September, October is like a beautiful time to get married. It's not too hot. Everyone's looking forward to events after the summer. It keeps you going.
I actually have an answer for this only because we're recording this on April 26th. And yesterday if anyone will get this, was April 25th. And if you ever watch Miss Congeniality, when they ask her, what's your idea of a perfect date? She says April 25th, because it's not too hot. It's not too cold. You can just wear a light sweater.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like fresh in my mind. That's why I'm like, April 25th would be a great time to go to a wedding right now.
Today.
Yeah, today is the right time. Jolene, do you have a preference?
Would also say fall.
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
End of August,
Mm.
early September.
Yeah. That's when I get
Kind
married.
of balmy.
All right. Last but not least, I'm going to do 68, which is, what is your go-to snack? And I'm very interested to hear yours, Jolene.
Oh,
me
like
too.
You look so fabulous. You're so fit.
You're so
like,
healthy.
What are the snacks?
Oh my gosh. I love go-to snack.
I'm hungry
I'm
right
gonna be
now.
so boring. This is gonna be so, but I love avocados so much. Like I will just eat an avocado with some apple cider vinegar inside of it.
What?
I pour it inside and a little bit of coconut oil.
How
I
does
love
it stay
coffee.
inside?
You like in the little hole, you take the pit out and you just like eat it like with a spoon.
I've never tried those flavors together.
Yeah,
Me
so
either.
Little
Apple
salt,
cider
little bit
vinegar
of,
is so good for you.
And oil, some sort of oil, avocado oil maybe, and then you actually eat it like with a spoon. And some sea salt in there. And I right now love these little cashew dark chocolate cups. They're like peanut butter cups.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The healthy kind. So-called healthy
What's
kind,
the
but
brand
I'm
of
obsessed
those?
with those. They're called Justin.
Yes, I was going to say, I've seen these
my
Justins. They're
goodness.
so good. Oh.
Yeah, you can get his nut butter in
Yes.
packaged as well.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
What's yours?
I haven't been snacking a lot lately, to be honest. My diet has changed so much the last few weeks. It's crazy. But right now I'm obsessed with cantaloupe, which I don't even normally like cantaloupe at all, but usually like 2 or 3 times a year, I just decide I have to have it as all my meals.
Wow.
So right now I've been just dying for cantaloupe.
There must be something in cantaloupe that
Yeah.
your body needs and craves so much.
I feel like that's like the least appreciated fruit, you know, when you get
if I get a fruit salad and it's got cantaloupe in it, I never buy it. Like, I don't want that.
That's what I mean. People don't, it has to be fresh and juicy. And
it's not even good. Like, I don't even think it's that good, but for some reason right now,
pregnant?
Get me all the cantaloupe. I wish. I'm just joking.
Something you want to share with us, Sarah?
I know. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe that was her
I'm not
vision.
pregnant. Ash, what's your go-to snack?
My go-to snack for like ever and ever and ever is always nut butter and a rice cake. Like that's the easiest. If I feel like putting a banana on it, sometimes I'll slice up a banana. But that's my number one.
For a little
sea salt sometimes.
Oh yeah. Sign me up.
Sweet and salty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jolene, this has been so nice and just like a fun way to end. But thank you so much for introducing us to breathwork. I feel like we're on the journey now. We're in.
I'm into it. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
I so look forward to that. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks,
Jolene.